Okay, we've now got Alan Merritt's name up on the screen. It's officially Alan the show, and Dave, you're a guest on Alan's show now. So carry on, guys, carry on.
Thank you, Dave. Welcome to my show. And so, what you been up to? You went to Parliament on Saturday, didn't you? You went with John Wedger, Bill Maloney, and Dylan, because John's doing a sponsored charity walk right down to the canal paths, isn't he?
Yeah, to Bath, I think it is.
It's Bath. He's walking all the way to Bath with Millie the dog. I don't know if Millie's going to do the whole journey.
She's not doing all of it, no, because she's too old.
Let me just hold this up in front of the camera so the guys can see what I've got here. Millie, that is Millie. There you are, there's Millie. And Millie bit the paedophile.
Yep, she did. Yeah. Yeah, we had Netflix there as well, doing the filming.
Yeah, doing the filming.
Yeah, and
did you do an interview with Bill? Did Bill do an interview with you, or?
Yes. God, I tell you what he didn't call Boris Johnson and all them in there, and told Boris to get out and confront him, and he went mad, absolutely mad.
It's not everybody's cup of tea, and a lot of people criticise John for his friendship with Bill. But at the end of the day, I think what it is his links with Pie and Mash Films. Now, he had a film company, and people are saying he charged people certain amounts of money, blah, 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 blah. Well, if he's going to do it, he's got to make money on it. But, I don't know how I don't know really what to say, but John swears by him, and if John swears by him, that's fine by me. You met him, and you said he was a great guy.
Well, yeah, that was the first time I'd met him, and apart from his swearing, he's brilliant. He don't care. I mean, he did the when Max Clifford was up in court.
Yeah, I see that.
He is good. It's only his swearing, but he's a really nice bloke, and he can get it out there.
There was a video on YouTube. It's still on YouTube, where Bill's doing an interview, and he says he punches the reporter on the nose or something, and it's the BBC one, and that is quite brilliant. His wording and his way of coming across is brilliant. I don't know if have you seen it, Spearfra?
I don't think I have, no.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, see, he's very angry as well because he lost a brother and a sister under, suspicious circumstances. So he is really angry. I mean, we can control ours, but some people can't. And he's got every right to say what he did, And he was quite comical as well, taking the mick out of Boris Johnson trying to lay a brick, and he had us in stitches. But, he really went to town. And we're hoping that we're going to get the uncut version, because obviously they can edit it. So, which will be pretty good.
Did you say much then?
I didn't say. He actually brought me in. I was standing over on the side, and sort of I was unprepared.
But you're getting better all the time. I mean, when me and you have only been the only ones recognised people from Beechholme have been there, and like I always do the filming, don't I? If John or nobody else is there, and I've done interviews, and I'll get you more involved. And I didn't. And you came across brilliant. I did it at a station. Where did we go? We was in a cafe, weren't we?
Yeah.
And you was very good in there. I thought you came across so well.
Yeah, I did. I mean, they called me over, and I was sort of, thing, and I said what I had to say, about the historic abuse. Johnson needs to sort this out, the trafficking and the abuse that's going on today. It's got to be sorted. It can't be left no more, sort of thing. And I didn't say an awful lot, but I did speak. So hopefully, I've done okay. But it's just confidence, And I am getting a bit more confident.
You are actually, yeah.
As time goes by.
But you've got, I don't know whether to do it, I don't know why you haven't done something with John, or, you know, do you want to do a little bit tonight?
Well, I mean, I did do with Anna Breeze, didn't I? I told some of my...
Yeah, but you didn't do very much of it, did you?
No, I didn't tell everything. Didn't say everything, you know. But yeah.
Because your house was the Blue Door, Armand, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you was bang opposite me in Laburnum.
Yeah.
And the front lawn used to come out, then the roadway, and then your lawn, and then
Yeah.
Armand. And I remember Auntie Kath. Was it
Yeah.
Nikki, weren't there? Was
Nicky
she?
Quirk, yeah.
Was it Nikki? Auntie Nikki.
Yeah.
And that's what we used to have to call them, didn't we? We used to have to call them auntie or uncle. Let's call our parents or gardens as if there was an pseudonym, an aunt or an uncle.
Yeah, but not in Thistle. When I went to Thistle, we had to call them Mr. and Mrs.
No, right. Well, we tended to use that for the office staff, didn't we?
Yeah. But no, there was a few houses you had to call, you know, the Simmons and Miss Birch, Miss Wolfe, you know, Miss Pelly.
I never called that Ian McLaren uncle. I used to hate him.
Yeah.
I loathe that man. I loathe that man. For what he did to me, the stuff he did to me, I loathe that man. I really did loathe him. To do what he did to me was, I don't know. You can't tell somebody, you know, if you're not in that place at that time to talk about it and to have it actually happen to you. It's totally different things. And I mean, my sister Margie, bless her, she's no longer with us. And Margie's story, you know, I don't know if I ever told you, Margie was so desperate to have children. She wanted children because of the childhood that we had and we were brought up with. Margie was so desperate to have children because one of her partners, she couldn't have any kids. So she was desperate to have a child, to give them the love and affection, to hold, to cuddle and caress that child. You know, just put your arms around that child and hold it. Like we never got none of that. It was very cold, and it was very harsh, very dark place. And she was so desperate to have children that she went on fertility treatment, and she stayed on it for 8 years. And they said to her, if you stay on it for too long, there is the chance that you could catch breast cancer from it. Now, Margie never did anything wrong to anybody. She's an absolutely beautiful person. She was absolutely, if you saw photographs of Margie, you think she was a model.
Yeah.
I got dropped on my head when I was a baby. But Margie, you know how beautiful Margie was.
Yes, she was.
She ended up dying on her 50th birthday because she did get breast cancer, and the breast cancer went to her liver. And just so she was just trying to have children. And why did that happen to the good people, though?
Always happens to the good people. Always does. You know, I mean, we weren't bad children.
No.
We didn't ask to have what happened to us done, you know. And, you know, like the first house I was in, the house parents were brilliant. I did catch one of the deputies with one of the boys, and I did get a knife thrown in my mouth just about, you know, but that was all that happened there. In Nicky's house, it was a case of bullying when they used to, because I had trouble breathing, and they used to come in at night and put their hands over my mouth and nose, stop me breathing, which scared the life out of me. But that was all. She was firm but fair. Then I went to Thistle, where the abuse really started.
Anne was abused in there.
yeah. And I was put on tablets. I don't know what the tablets were, and that. And he used to come into the room at night, and I'd be asleep on my stomach, and I'd feel his hands up my back. And when he went down my trousers, that's when I realised. And I told him to get out. And it happened about 3 or 4, maybe 5 times. And then one night I woke up, and there was 2 sisters sharing the room. And he was in the bed with the younger sister. They could have been 9 or 10. And I got up and told him to get out. I'd taken the 2 girls down to the offices, spoke to Mr. Bruce about what was going on, and he said they would deal with it, go back to the house, which they did. And it was a little while after I was going upstairs, and one time I'd run away, and when I come back, I got in the bath, and I was on the inside bath. There was one on the outside.
That's right.
And one in a little cubicle.
Yeah.
And
the girls used to use the cubicle 9 times out of 10. They used to make the boys use the outside one.
Yeah, and I put the toothbrush in the latch.
Yeah.
So it couldn't be lifted up.
Yeah, it was a coach bolt, and you could put a toothbrush in, and we used to do that. That's what happened to me when I was abused in Laburnum, because they came through the bathroom window.
That's what he done. And he came in and scared the life out of me and grabbed me, and I told him to get out. And then when I'd come back from the offices, a couple of days later, obviously he'd been told, and I was going upstairs, and he grabbed me round the throat, tried to throw me down the stairs. But I fought with him. And after that, I didn't, he threatened to hit my brother, and I warned him then to leave my brother, because I wasn't scared anymore of him. And in them days, you couldn't tell anyone, your parents. I couldn't tell my dad. My dad would have killed him, and he would have done. And then where would I have been? My dad would have been took away from us. And it wasn't just me, there was my brothers as well. And then a couple of months later, Ted Long came, and all my stuff was packed, and I was taken to a mental hospital, and I was 14.
He was not a woman.
Yeah, he couldn't, it couldn't have been for my behaviour of running away that I got put away, because my friend at the time, we did the same things, exactly the same. We did it together, and only me. And then a year later, the police came to the hospital for a statement because he'd been caught. And I did get angry, said that, I'm not giving a statement. You didn't believe me at the time. But then I did. I didn't hear anything, and I was kept in the hospital for another 2 years. And during that time, I used to go home to a cousin's of mine, and her husband was abusing me. And I reported it, but I still had to go home. I was called all names by my family because I was in the hospital. It really, it did affect me. And he got 3 years for what he did. It was nothing to do with us kids in Beechholme. It was to do with the Cubs, because he used to run the Cubs, But apparently when he was being taken down to the cells, and it was your house, Mother Grace, that was in the court, and she said, he was shouting out, what about Simmons? What about so-and-so? So obviously there was a paedophile ring in there as well.
Well, we know that, Sue, because we know there's so many instances, right, where you just had to put the jigsaw together. You just piece everything together. Now, you're talking about Bill Maloney, meeting Bill Maloney. He was in Shirley Oaks.
Yeah.
Very abusive children's home. Very, very abusive children's home. And there were links between Beechholme, Shirley Oaks, and the staff going from one or the other.
Yeah.
And because of them being both in shall we say South London, because one was Croydon, one was Spence and Surrey. not a million miles.
Yeah.
And there were times when I remember minibuses coming into Beechholme, because opposite your cottage, my bedroom faced up the avenue, and I remember looking up and seeing these buses come. I never saw the children again. Don't know who they were, whether they were leaving or where they were taken somewhere else, but it seemed strange that young children were taken.
Yeah, because they were parked outside the old nursery.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. Sunshine coaches. And I
Yeah.
remember them.
I remember people say the Sunshine coaches had something to do with Jimmy Savile, and Jimmy Savile went as I left in 72, 73, and I didn't see him.
No, I didn't either.
I didn't see him.
No.
Or if he was there, it was all hush hush, or he was put somewhere where I dread to think.
Well,
I dread to think.
you know, I haven't come across anybody that actually saw Savile, but then not many have come forward or don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, it's true.
So, you know.
And that's the barrier. That's the barrier that survivors that don't always open up like we do and talk about what happened to us. Now, it's a very, I mean, the amount of times that I've got emotional talking about it because it hits a raw nerve, and you become that child again, and you ask yourself, and your mind's racing at 1,000 miles an hour, and you ask yourself, why did this happen to me, and why did I suffer for so many years? Why was like my first 25 years so cruel?
Yeah.
You know, and you know my wife, Kath, and if it weren't for Kath, I don't think I'd survive, Sue.
No. I mean, we all had it, you know, when I came out of the hospital, my nan had said to me that I could go and live with her. I was 17 at the time, and it was near Christmas. And when I got there, she didn't want me. So I stayed somewhere. I was going from one member of family to the other, and they was all calling me names and abusive, screaming at me and shouting at me as if I was a total idiot. And then I met a bloke, did get pregnant, and then I was on the streets again. You know,
same as me. I was on the streets for a bit.
I lived by Wormwood Scrubs prison. I stayed right against the wall so no one could see me.
Scrubs Lane.
Yeah. You know, and unfortunately it happened to a lot of us. All my brothers were on the streets.
Yeah.
You know.
I had a spell of it, and I don't know whether it's because family will help you out so much and help you out for a bit, but you soon become, you know, in people's faces if you're around them, I don't know, 24/7. And people like to live their own lives anyway. And when, you know, when we talk about behind closed doors, people like to do their own things. And do you know what I mean? If you wanted to walk around with nothing on, you could do it. But if you've got somebody else there, you can't. I know it sounds daft, but I mean, silly little Indianisms like that, you can just do what you want and when you like.
Yeah, I mean, when I stayed with my cousin, like her husband was abusing me. I mean, she had me there really. I was just a babysitter. You know, and even her daughter said to me, I just remember my mum was always shouting at you and making you cry. You know, and when it get too much, I'd go to another member of family. And that's how it was. But I became so used to being called names.
Yeah.
You know, it.
But they did that so cruelly, Sue, because, I mean, I remember in Beechholme when they used to call you retard. That was one of their favourite words. Mm-hmm. Bloody retard, slap you around the back of the head and call you a retard. You know, kick you up the arse or push you down the corridor and say, move on, you retard, or something like that. And the treatment, you know, we haven't told every single thing that happened to us, but the beatings were almost a daily thing. It was sometimes when a day didn't go by that Grace Robinson either slapped me around the head or kicked me up the arse or done something to me. She had terrible things, slapping your legs when you had your shorts on. Mm-hmm. Oh, it was horrible.
I mean, even in the hospital, you know, I've not really spoke about that, but they were cruel.
Yeah.
They were really cruel. We were put on, we had to take, it was called Tofenil, an antidepressant, and Largactil, you had to have every day. But if you'd done something wrong, then you got the liquid cosh, which was jab up the bum, put in the cell, you know. But they kept trying to give me virginity tests, and I wouldn't allow it. And I'd gone shopping because I got my clothing allowance, and at the time they was called micro knickers.
Yeah.
And I remember them, they were white with a blue stripe, but they were a bit see-through. And I was at school, and when I came back, my knickers were pinned to the boys' dormitory door, and the nurses had done it, you know. And there was another, we used to have meetings, just like, you know, one flew over the cuckoo's nest where they're all in a circle. And there was one girl, she used to torment me. She used to say, "I'm glad your mum's dead." For no reason, I just ignored it. And then she had this fetish about putting her shoes neatly under her bed, and they're big hospital beds. And she said it one night when she was under there, and I just went up and picked the bed up and dropped it on her. Well, in the next meeting, it came out, why did I have a hang up about my mum being dead? Well, I didn't have a hang up, you know, but she'd push me and push me and push me. And because I kicked off in there, I was jabbed and put in the cell, you know. And some of the night staff, the boys ones, the Italian, when we used to go out and get our drinks, he was really spiteful, put your arm up your back and all things like that, you know. So they were cruel as well. And a lot of things happened in there.
The thing that we weren't allowed to say anything, where you said that, you know, in the 70s, you didn't talk about sex, you didn't talk about gays and lesbians. You know, when we were getting abused or things happened in the dormitories, with the bathroom, stuff that went on in the bathrooms, they used to be able to close the door or lock the door, because and the trouble is, in the dormitories, the kids used to turn with their backs to you when anything was happening, so they didn't get seen looking. Because if you looked, you'll be in trouble. So if you looked at all the children, they all had their backs to you. There was no help. There was no one to run to. There was no one to shout and ask for help. You just had, you was a lone voice, and you either accepted what was going to happen to you. What could you do? Is Spearfry still there? You still there, Spearfry? I don't know if he's still there. I think he's gone. Oh, he's just muted. I just thought I wanted to give him a chance to say something. You still there?
I'm still here, mate. I'm just eating.
Yeah. Right. I just thought I'd bring you in. I'm just eating a biscuit. That's the first thing I've eaten all day. I went to eat earlier on and I threw up violently.
Oh dear.
I tried doing such a mash, and I haven't had diarrhea for about 4 hours, but I've had it for 4 days now. And if I feel like I've got to dash off, just hold the fort for me, because I have been poorly for the last 4 days. So I do apologise and giving out too much information like that. But I haven't been well. But I'm just having little bits and pieces, you know, bits every now and then, and I'll stop taking them antibiotics just in case it's the antibiotics that's causing me to have the problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just ask Spearfry, is there anything that you want to ask myself or Sue, Spearfry? Is there anything that you can throw some as like an independent or a person that's watching the show and joining the live stream that you want to ask us as survivors?
Any questions I have, you've already answered. I've listened to you and Sue and Sam. It's just shocking, the level of it's industrial. It's like an industrial thing. I can't believe how many people are out there with your stories.
The worst part about it is when they talk about 42,000 cases of COVID, how many millions of children were victims?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Millions. Talking
And
about millions.
And it's still going on.
Yeah.
The stuff that happened to you, horrible stuff, it still goes on.
Mm.
Yeah. And nobody's still
I told
listening.
that story, didn't I, Sue, where I was telling on I think I went on Angie and Tinky's show, or Katie Jones, and has asked me about it, and I was telling about them coming into the bathroom and washing you and touching you up in the bathroom, and you know, you're curling into a little ball and you try to hide yourself or you try to cover yourself up, and they just slap you on the back, and then they'd get this red floss carbolic soap and put it in your eyes and in your mouth, and they'd lever you all up with this carbolic soap, and it used to get in your mouth and it was horrible. It used to want to make you sick, and they used to make you pull, you know, they used to do horrific things to you. And then Jean turned around one day and she was talking, she said exactly the same thing. They did it in the 1950s for her. And then Sandy Smith was saying they did it in Quarriers orphans homes as well. And you know, it's a weird thing to say, and I've said it a couple of times. It's almost like a sigh of relief to think, surely I wasn't imagining. That's the cruelty that they went to.
Mm. Yeah, and unfortunately, you know, not all the houses in Beechholme were bad.
No.
Abuse didn't go on in all of them. You know, it's, there was 24 houses, and down one end, 12 houses, they housed 24 children, and the houses up the top end, they housed 36 children in each. So, to say, there was a few good houses there, and you know, it's a pity that we didn't have the same, you know, house parents like them.
I look at it sometimes as like, I was the youngest of the family. I was the youngest sibling, and we had a tough time when we were brought up. You know, our flat in Stoke Road, Shepherd's Bush. We had like 2 rooms, a mother's room and a father's room, and then a double bed for the kids. But all 4 of us slept in this one bed. There was no form of heating in it. It was kind of like a 2-bedroomed, bathroom downstairs and toilet, and a back room where you had a coal cellar, and they used to tip the coal through the road. Coalman used to come down the road, lift the lid, and pour the coal straight into your cellar. And that was absolutely alive with rats. And these rats weren't your normal rats. These were sewer rats. And they were huge. You'll see one come down the stairs one day. But at night, you could hear them squeaking and scratching at the doors. We wouldn't go downstairs to the toilet at night. No way. We all peed in buckets. And the old woman lived in the flat above, in the top flat. She got knocked down the stairs by this king rat. And yeah, it was, and you know, I didn't say about my father abusing me, because it was respite care. I think it wasn't planned. I don't think it was planned. There were so many circumstances that don't run right. And when we went to Beechholme, they put us all in separate houses. Did they do the same to your family?
No, me and the twins, because they're 4 years younger than me, we was put in seat. Well, they was already in there. They'd been to our house first, and I was living with my maternal grandparents.
It weren't the Christian house, was it?
Eh?
Was it Lavender? Not Lavender. Was there a Christian house?
Apparently there was. I don't know what one that was, but
That very first one opposite the school.
that was Lavender.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lavender, Laburnum. Lavender,
Yeah.
Laburnum, Larch. Sorry, Lavender, Laburnum, Beech, Larch. Was it Jasmine after that?
Yeah.
And where Maggie Burgess was.
Yeah. But I forgot what I was saying now.
Can you remember all the names?
Yeah.
What, in order?
There was a couple I'm confused where they were, because they changed some of the houses round, didn't they?
Yeah, some of them had a
Right.
bit of work done on them, but I mean,
And yeah,
they were so bloody cold. It was unbelievable. The curtains they put up in the bedroom, in the dormitories, they was about, well, as much good as a chocolate teapot, chocolate fire guard. They just didn't do anything.
no,
It's thinnest material.
yeah. I mean, you know, unlike a lot of the kids in Beechholme, before I went there, I had a good family. You know, I had my mum and my dad, my 3 brothers. And then it just went to pot when my mum died. You know,
Yeah.
I couldn't cope with. My brother Tony was very close to my mum, and he used to play up and everything. And, you know, and then to go into Beechholme, and it was a totally different atmosphere. There was no cuddles, there was no love, nothing like that. Although in Seba, as I say, they were very good, you know, but I had the twins there. I think they were 3 at the time. And then my brother Tony was put in Kerrier, like with your brother, the old boys' house. I think it's called the Naughty Boys' House. It was just a shock to the system, you know, to be thrown into that when you come from a loving family. And that my dad took to drink after my mum died and came down when he could. Sometimes he was drunk, you know, but so a lot of people, you know, you were all put in separate houses, and a lot of the families, even to this day, are no longer in touch with each other, which is really sad, you know. I mean, I'm lucky I'm in touch with all my brothers. We've always remained close, you know, and at least I had my older brother there who protected us if anyone started on us, you know.
Yeah.
But unbeknown to me, there was abuse going on in that house, and I never found out till last year.
It's funny because we didn't know about the extent of the abuse in all the other cottages. We didn't know what was going on in all them other cottages.
No, because we didn't even, you know, although we had friends there, we didn't actually discuss why we were there or anything, you know, so we never knew why people were there. So we weren't going to talk about the abuse, you know. I mean, even with the superintendent, Banner, you know, he was a perv. You know, I was forever running away.
Yeah, I did 3 times.
Oh no, I'm constant running away. And, you know, when I did go to school, which wasn't very often, and we used to torment the posh girls' school, hang their hats on their head on the bus, and they'd get off before us. And as soon as we walked in them gates, it would say, Susan Pink, Moira Loman, in my office now. We knew we were going to get caned. You know?
But he did it in a perverse way, didn't he?
Yeah, because we had to take our knickers down.
I mean, he's doing it. Jeffrey Banner was the superintendent of Beechholme, just to let people know. And this is the superintendent of a children's home. Now, on a regular basis, you was in his office.
Yeah.
You and Maury always going into his office.
Up to 3 times
and he would pull your knickers down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's disgraceful. I mean, when I went into his office, he bounced me off his knee because I went to Banstead Police Station and told them what was going on with me. And not only did the police do nothing about it, that when I came back, I was taken before Jeffrey Banner, and he said to me, little boys like you get the cane, and he used to show you, because he used to have a cane in the corner. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And a wooden cane.
Yeah.
And he used to have it because his secretary, as you went down the corridor, his secretary was in the office there, and then you turned right into his office. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And his secretary's office was right opposite the church.
Yeah.
And he said, come here, boy, and sit on my knee. And he was bouncing me off his knee in a perverse way and saying, well, what are we going to do with you then, lad? And he's bouncing me off his knee, just trying to get off on it. I mean, he was
he was a big bloke as well.
He was a big bloke.
He was a big bloke, you know. I mean, we reported the abuse to a policeman outside our school when we went to Cheam High, and he said he'd do something. We've come in and, as usual, Will called into his office. We went in there and the police were there, and he wanted to know what we'd been saying. And we told him, and he made out we were liars.
Mm.
The police went and we were caned again for lying.
Yeah.
You know, so
That's the thing, though. We weren't allowed to say anything. We weren't allowed to do anything. We didn't have a voice. And if you did say anything, you got beaten or punished even more. I mean, when you talk about big fellas, Ian McCready in Lodge, when he used to punch you with his fists, and he used to punch you in the stomach, and he used to punch you in the head. And you walking down the corridor, and he'd punch you in the back of the head and knock you flying. And it was like it was some sort of kick he got out of it, just punching a child. But he was a big bloke, and if I say I was a 7-stone kid, he you know, he would probably be about 18. You know, he was a big guy. I think he was a rugby player at one stage, and he was quite well built and muscly. And there was Paul in there, Michael was in there, I was in there, and a couple of the children that had problems. We didn't go into Kerrier because Kerrier was full. They put us in Larch with him, and he was just a vile piece of shit. And he used to, and I remember him getting me on the floor in just around the front door. And he got me on the floor and put me on the deck, and he strided me, and he was rubbing his genitals on my back. And I think he was pretending I was a horse, but I knew what he was doing. And other times he'd grab hold of me, because we used to have to wash up. We used to wash up after tea time, after meal times, and he'd come up behind you and grab hold of you, or put his hands on the sink and lock you against the sink. Yeah.
See, I think if he'd gone in Kerrier, I mean, that was a nasty house. I mean, he was absolutely massive, and he had hands like shovels, you know, and
You know,
yeah,
yeah. He abused me.
Yeah, I mean, he abused many. You know, that's I think what the tendency was. You know, if any of the boys were naughty, send them to meet Pete McTavish.
I had seven abusers in Beechholme. 7. I mean, I'm going to say this for the record, so everybody who might be listening, I was never ever penetrated, and I'm lucky for that, and I'm pleased for that. What went on to me being in care from 0 age up until I went to Beechholme in 6, I don't know, because I was in 5 children's homes between that time, and I cannot remember. I just remember a couple of names of Harp Sleep and St Leonard's, Elsfield House, Shirley Oaks, Oakley Street, and something maybe Camberley.
I don't know,
but I was in loads of kids. I mean, you know, and it was called respite care. And we used to come home, and my dad used to hit me with a leather belt at 4 years of age. So I was not only getting abused by my own father, I got abused in Beechholme. So I was quite a disturbed young boy.
Yeah, I mean, my mum's side of the family was absolutely massive, and there was some hard men in there, but I couldn't tell them.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell them, and all they ever thought of me was I was a nutcase. You know, I'm not all there. You know, and when I went to see my records, I was allowed to see them in Kensington Town Hall, Chelsea Town Hall, and I was only allowed to read them, but not all of them.
yeah.
And it said that I was maladjusted and I was very morose.
Yeah.
You know,
in my records, it says something about what's the word they used? I'm trying to think of the word they used. Learning difficulties.
Yeah.
Mine. I don't know where, you know.
Yeah.
I never learned nothing in the school, because the primary school, I had Mr. Margates as my teacher, and he used to whack you around the head, hit you with a bloody ruler, and you know, and then Mr. Whiteman used to corner you in the playground and rifle through your short pockets and saying, "What you got in your pockets, boy?" And he'd go running through your pockets. He knew what he was doing. He was touching you.
Yeah.
I mean, what did we have, sir? We had nothing. We were kids in an orphanage. We had nothing to put in our pockets. So he was just filling us up because we had little thin material shorts on. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, it was.
I mean, sadly, it's still going on today.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
Spearthrow
children still,
was saying.
yeah, they can't talk out, you know. So now we have to fight for them. We didn't have no one to fight for us, but we'll fight for them now. You know,
Well,
so we are their voices.
they're always doing something at the moment with Charles and Ken, and we did all meet lots of long ago and done a complete film because Ken's got a complete, I mean, a real McCoy film set. And what the camera you probably saw, the Netflix camera, was virtually the same. Was it a big lens one, or was it just?
Well, it wasn't a big lens, but it was a good one, you know.
Yeah. Ken's got all the filming equipment, and he set it all up, and done my testimony on tape. And until a certain thing happened, Louise done all the audio typing, so it was put into Word. I don't know if that'll ever be handed over now.
Well, we don't know.
But I think we can work around that. I think Delroy was shocked at me saying that Louise was no longer on board.
Well, you know, she ruined that. You know, we can't have someone like that with us fighting, you know. But hopefully we'll get justice.
Yeah, so yeah, we're persevere with it, and then we're going to interview a few other the Beechholme, because it's like everybody says, everybody, like, you know, Spearthrow saying and all that, you know, it's still happening today, and people just do not get justice. It's all wrong.
Yeah.
Why have we got people in Parliament that don't do the job they're supposed to be in Parliament for? What is? It's all lies and bullshit.
Because they don't give a shit about us or children in general. You know, we're nothing. Don't affect them. You know, so why should they bother?
Do you know, when you think about it, we live in quite a horrible country, don't we?
I mean, why did all the other homes get justice?
Yeah.
Why didn't Beechholme get justice?
Don't know.
You know, and as we say, like, staff are going from Beechholme to Shirley Oaks, vice versa.
But I take that not DC Cannon, but Paddy Myers took over from DC Cannon, and that's another thing that, you know, hurts as well, is that not only did you live through 25 years of, you know, the beatings, the abuse of living on the streets, of going in hostels and living rough and doing all sorts of things and just moving like, I don't know, out of a bloody carrier bag or a bin bag.
Yeah.
You know what I mean when I say that one, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, the police, when they did the investigation, they didn't do it right. I mean, she phoned me up one day and to say about it, and she said, "Oh, who was your abuser?" I said, "Harry Gray." She said, "I knew you was going to say that." You know, it's just the way she said it to me, as if I was lying. You know, and then they came down to see me, and she said, "Just give us a rough thing. We'll come down and do a statement with you." And nothing was ever done. They never came back.
Sorry, I was just looking at the comments. Sorry.
And then we get the solicitors are pulling out because the police are saying really there's nothing to answer to. Someone's for laughing.
Yeah, no case to answer. That's what they say in Reddit
Yeah.
to me, but there's no case to answer. But the thing with this is the corruption in it, right? The councillors are corrupt. The lot of them are corrupt. We've got very wealthy people running our organisations, right? That really haven't got a clue what they're doing. and have no respect and no treat. It's just disgraceful the way that we are treated, and our politicians deal with things. It's just despicable that nothing's ever done about it, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just nothing ever changes. I mean, we've done shows like this now for weeks and weeks and weeks, and Jason's probably been doing this a few years. YouTube's been going quite a while. Facebook's been going away. There used to be a thing called Friends Reunited.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah, that got shut, didn't it? You know, but Wandsworth, I mean, they had a paedophile running Wandsworth Council.
Mm.
You know, so
yeah,
we stood no chance. Stood no chance at all.
They spent so much money on legal departments. It's unbelievable.
And that the solicitors, you know, 6 times I sent in my statement.
Yeah.
Right, 6 times, because there was things that were wrong in there, and I weren't signing nothing that wasn't truth. Last 2 times it came back with that I accused Mr. Gray of raping me. I never ever mentioned that word, because as much as I hate that man, I don't accuse people of doing something they haven't done. I'm not a liar. And I phoned him up. I said, you know, I haven't put that in my statement. He said, okay, we'll get it written out again. So what I actually did was I wrote my statement out and I sent it to him. When he sent it back, it came back again with the word raping. So I rang him up and I said to him, you know, I'm getting sick of this. I've not accused and I've never said he raped me. So he said, oh, it must be my secretary. I said, why is she putting things in my statement, adding things? You know, he said, we'll get it changed. So I was really annoyed about it. I didn't even send it back, the other statement. And then we get told, you know, we're not working for you no more, and dropped us. And then had the cheek to send us a survey.
It's like they all work together in it, and they all sort of come together to it just, I don't know, it's how corrupt it is, because they're all in bed together. They're all sort of like, I don't know, they're all as corrupt and infested.
They're all equally as guilty as the guy that punched you in the head.
Yeah. And the things he used to do to him, he used to punch you. Gordon Reid used to punch you in the head. Gordon Reid knocked Stephen Carroll's teeth out.
Yeah, but I mean, the people that you were going to that were ignoring you, they're as guilty.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. And that's, I mean, obviously we knew after all these years when the investigation was going on, most of our abusers were dead. You know, they did actually charge one woman with abuse, but nothing's ever come of it. You know, it's just a joke the way we were treated. You know, and we didn't really have anyone fighting for us,
no.
Did we? I mean, we had to go to Parliament 24th of October, was it 24th or 18th of October, 1918, and we had
1918.
Sorry, 2018. Can you hold on, please?
Just mute yourself while you talk to him, so. Yeah, it was quite bad, Spearthrower. I mean, what they did to kids. I mean, Pete McTavish, this one she was telling me, my brother was in his house in Kerrier, and he used to beat the living shits out of the kids in the house. And I mean, physically beat them up. He used to beat them like he was fighting a man. He'd be swinging, and he used to walk. I'm not too sure if it was Ted Long or Pete McTavish, both big stock blokes. I mean, I'm not too sure if Ted Long was big fat bloke, his belly stuck out. And when he walked, his arms used to move. His arms used to swing in emotion. You know, he was a horrible, horrible, vile man. But there was so many, so it was unbelievable. I say not all of the houses were abusive, because some of the women's staff were right, but some of the women were doing it as well, Sue.
Yeah, I know. But you know.
When the police turned around and they said, that, you know, like, so well, not only did we live through it up till, I don't know, the memory's still there in your 20s and so on and so forth. And then when I got married in my 30s, and I used to wake up in the night fighting in the room because I thought somebody was getting me, or Audrey Wilson was leaning over the bed touching me up in the dormitory. And, you know, and I called into a ball and I pissed the bed. And I never wet the bed up until then. I was just so petrified, so frightened. And, you know, and then for you to live with it and try and suddenly, you know, get over it-ish and say, I've got to accept this. Whatever happened to me was wrong, and I'm never ever going to get justice. And then Operation Brockhurst is opened up, and you get a phone call out of the blue from the police in my 60s to say, oh, it's been alleged that abuse was taking place at Beechholme. So we're doing an investigation. Can we come and see you because your name has been mentioned? And I said, yeah. So on 3 occasions they came up, and the second occasion they met me, they took me to a police station where had a recording suite where the cameras are in the wall, kind of like, I don't know if it's a poignant thing to say, where they're like a rake sweep. You know, like the cameras were in the wall. It was designed as like a recording area where they could do somebody's testimony for it. And, you know, they even came, Lottie was the DCI, or one of the women detectives. And she turned around and said to me, you did really well there, Alan. She said, I absolutely felt for you 100%. And you said you did a brilliant interview. And I thought, it's almost like when they turn around and then afterwards, they come up to see me and said, here's a letter for you. I said, what's that then? Well, can you open it when we leave? And I said, well, why can't I open it now while you're here? Well, we'd sooner you opened it when we left. And I said, well, I don't get that. I mean, if you've got something to say, why can't I open it? How have you been? How's it? I know it's been a bit traumatic for me. I said, I cried my pissing eyes out, reliving in it and going over all them bloody old stories. And I was sitting there crying my eyes out. I've done an interview in here with them in the conservatory. I've done another one in here, third one I've done in here, and one at Skegness Police Station. And it's for them to turn around and say, because see, 2 of my abusers are still alive. McLaren and Gordon Reed are still alive. Believe it or not, them horrible bastards that did so much damage to little children's lives have had a full life at the expense of abusing children.
Yeah, but as I was saying,
they ain't going to do nothing about them. If they was going to bring a charge against them, it'd be actual bodily harm. There's nothing else they can do, and because it's such a long time ago, it wouldn't probably hold up in court. I mean, why did they do all that? Why did they come? Okay, why did they drive 4 hours from Guildford to Lincolnshire, have an hour's break, sit here for 2 or 3 hours, and then drive 4 hours back, have an hour's break, and then probably book some overtime? Whatever. They were doing 16-hour days at the taxpayer's expense, right? To turn around and say that your case is concluded and no further action will be taken, without even having to interview them. I mean, they've gone through all that. All they've done is line the pockets of the coppers.
You should investigate them as vigorously as you investigate the soldiers that served in Ireland.
So Ken said that.
mm,
Ken said exactly the same, Spearthrower. Ken and Delroy said exactly the same.
Right.
Said they're
Great minds think alike.
and they are part of the problem.
My wife, when I first met her, she worked in a residential care home for special needs, you know, severely impaired people. And she left and ended up working for the social services. And then in the end, when she was pregnant with me, our second child, she gave up the work. But it wasn't that long after she left, stopped working. There was a call from police said they were investigating the first company she was working for abuse and things like that, and then gone to the head office and found a stack of complaints written by my wife that hadn't been touched.
mm. Surprise,
do
surprise.
you know what Delroy said, Spearthrower? Delroy turned around and said, this might sound a bit callous, but all they wanted to know is names, what you knew, and what you didn't know. So by the time they've gone to everybody and found out what they knew and what they didn't know, it was almost like they just questioned you to see what information they can get from you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had the Sunday Mirror. They did a spread on it. A few people spoke out about it, you know, and it said, you know, House of Torture and everything. Nothing.
They had a figure of 118. I think it was more than that.
Yeah.
I would add though that after the investigation that was the company where my wife used to work, some people did get prosecuted.
Yeah, see, ours have never. I mean, we
It
went.
did hit the papers, but that's the thing. Cases like yours should be done and dusted by now.
Yeah, they should. But I mean, we took on that day. I was saying in 2018, we took. You went to Hammersmith. I went to Kensington and Chelsea,
That's right.
Westminster and Camden. Took 3 of our interim reports in.
You did well.
And then
we did the Spearthrower. We drafted an interim report. I don't know if you get time. If you go on Google and type in Kathy Fox Beechholme interim report, the complete report of Beechholme abuse is on there.
Right.
And it's quite interesting to read. And then you'll see our initials by survivors. You'll see AM is in there, but he didn't take my story from my book. Graham didn't put that asterisk from my book into it. But
I mean, we even took that afternoon at 2 o'clock because we had to have them all in by 11 o'clock that morning. And we went to Downing Street at 2 o'clock and handed one in there.
Yeah, you managed to get into Downing Street. I think it was before all the security went up. I don't think there was so much security. Was there the gates on then?
Yeah, because
the gates were on, but I think it's got even worse now. I think the security is higher.
We had to go into the little hut.
Yeah.
And be searched. They had armed police there.
Yeah.
And they even checked my crutch, not me thingy crutch, me walking crutch and things, you know, before we was allowed up there.
Yeah.
You know, but then after we got the thing at the Home Office where we went, you had arranged that with your MP, and she totally blanked John Wedger, didn't want to know. We told our stories and they were crying. They were actually crying as we were talking and said how sorry they were. And when it finished, we went out, I was last. Even the black lady came out, was crying and pulled me aside and said to me, I'm so, so sorry. We'll do all we can to help you. And they've done absolutely nothing.
2 years down the line.
Crocodile tears.
You know.
Well, we sat in the Home Office, Spearthrower, with Victoria Atkins MP. And she's not even from Lincolnshire, so she's one of her constituency on the back of something else. I don't know how she's managed to worm her way in, but she's done nothing for this county ever since she's been a politician for Lincolnshire and Horncastle, or Louth and Horncastle, should I say. And she's supposed to be the safeguarding minister, and she's supposed to work closely with ICSA, the government inquiry into child sexual abuse. And what I tried to do is I asked her if she could bring it up in Parliament to try and get a select committee meeting on it, and also if she could get ICSA on board and get ICSA to investigate it. And she was promising us the world, wasn't she, Sue?
Yeah, I mean, when I took the reports to Kensington and Chelsea and Westminster, nobody would come down and take the reports from us. So what we had to do was hand them to the security and have pictures taken to prove that we'd handed them over. And no one wanted to speak to us. The only ones that did speak to us was at Camden, and he promised us the world. And nothing was ever done. We never heard from him again.
Yeah, we did on that day, Spearthrower. We went to every borough council in London because years and years ago, the children's homes were run by London County Council, and then it was the old GLC, and then it was the Mayor of London and the borough councils, and Hammersmith Fulham being my borough council, but ones who have been responsible for Beechholme and the duty of care for Beechholme, and yeah, it's
That seems to be how all the government organisations wash themselves of any
responsibility.
liabilities by
Yeah. That's
changing companies and changing, let's say, the governing bodies from one thing to another. They've done it the same way with, because I'm following the 5G stuff. All the information, all these sort of guidelines, you have to go through probably 5 or 6 different organisations to get to the root of where the guidelines come from. And we're talking like 25 years ago, and it was crap, you know. But the way they shed the responsibilities by, oh yeah, that was that governing body back then, but then we changed it to a county level, and then we changed it to this level, and then we privated it out to somebody else.
Delroy's been listening into the background, obviously been tuned in and listening.
Oh, Del, how are you doing?
And hearing what we've been saying, and because I mentioned Del a couple of times. Hi, Del.
He's a good lad, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here now. I've been here a little while. It's just that I had to do some stuff while I was in the background, so I had you on while I was just sorting out some stuff. But go ahead, I'll wait until you're finished.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, mate. It's always a pleasure when Delroy's on, because he just speaks so well, and everything's from the heart, and so true, so realistic. And you enjoyed your time last time with Del, didn't you, Sue?
Yeah, I did. It was actually really nice.
He's got a great understanding and a great knowledge, and his history is phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not very confident anyway, so normally I just sat here and didn't say a lot, you know. But yeah, it was good.
I've listened to Delroy when he's been doing his show, because he used to do his show on a Tuesday, and I don't know if he still does it on a Tuesday. We changed the format slightly, but I've listened to it, and when he's talked about certain things, and it gives you a history lesson. And he can virtually name the years, you know, from 12, 13, 14, 15, 1600 years, you know, from the Great Fire of London, and all sorts of things, and what the ramifications for the Great Fire of London, and 1066, and the Jacobites, and yeah, so much, and he knows all of that.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, so
yeah, what was we saying about so when you went from, how old was you? Was 13? Was you 13 in?
No, I was 14 when I got put away.
And did you go to Epsom Hospital?
Longgrove.
Is that Epsom?
In Epsom.
That was the mental institution, wasn't it?
No, there was about 4 of them around there.
Yeah, I knew there was one, and we used to think that one to the left-hand side as you went out, was it?
It was on the left-hand side, because there was Horton. I can't remember the names of the other 2. There, you know.
Did you go back to Beechholme?
No.
You never went back?
No, I was 17 when I got out there.
Jesus.
And that's when I went home, and my nan didn't want me. And then I was from pillar to post till I lived on the streets when I was pregnant. So
what they've done basically is classed you as a psychological loose cannon. And you have to live with that stigma for all your life. Yeah.
And today I still do. I do. Members of the family, yeah.
Now, when we talk, when we're on our own and we have chats about stuff, we don't always talk about it. We remember certain things, and we talk about certain bits and pieces. Like we used to do the scrumping. Remember when we used to do the scrumping? And all the asses used to have pear trees and apple trees.
Yeah.
And the fir tree road used to run out down the side of Beechholme, and we used to stand on the air raid shelters
as well.
log the bloody apples and stuff in it. And one day I threw something off one of the air raid shelters, and it hit an old bill car. And we know what we like. It was our territory. I mean, if it was going to be guerrilla warfare, we knew exactly the territory. So we was gone. So we could hide anywhere we want. I think I just went and hid on one of the flat roofs outside. You know, the toilets at the back where we used to have 4 toilets outside toilets. And God, they were bloody cold in the winter. Because if you couldn't get in the downstairs toilet there and you had to go outside, God, they were cold bloody toilets in the winter because they had no heating, no nothing. Oh, did they have little half doors?
No, but they were full doors. You know, and in our house, they were the boys' toilets. You know.
Yeah, there were 4 of them, weren't there? Then you had the coal house.
Bunker. Yeah.
Yeah, coal
and
bunker.
An outhouse.
You didn't have half it was coal and half of it was coke.
Well, I don't
Because
know.
I think we used to use coke for the kitchen, for the boiler.
Oh, in the boiler room.
Yeah, in the boiler room and
Yeah.
kitchen, and then for that parkway, which is shit, wasn't it?
Mm.
The heat that didn't come off of that. You could sit around that, and you could sit basically on it and still not be warm.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a couple of houses later on down the line, when we did get us go to staff room, because in the winter, beach, they had a coal fire in there. And they used to let us go in there and they put that fire on and it was lovely and like toast. And you know, about 8 of us in there, 8, 9 of us, all sitting around in the staff room. It weren't built for that amount of people.
No, we weren't allowed in ours. Well, we did, but we used to nick the money, and that money was for running away with. You know, but none of it was.
Do you remember Saturday?
Oh, when we got our pocket money.
Yeah, Saturday morning was pocket money. And you used to queue up outside the office, and you used to get, I don't know, so many pennies.
Yeah, and they used to save the rest for your holiday.
Yeah, so I'm putting it to one side, and they used to have. This was part of the record books as well, because they used to have on the office chest of drawer, on the office desk or whatever it was a kind of like a pull down drawer where they used to lock that record book inside. And that record book used to be when you had welfare visits and so on and so forth. So all the stuff, those are the ones that got destroyed.
Mm. We used to have photo albums as well, and we never ever got them.
No.
You know, it was bad. I mean, you know, years later when I was having my second daughter, I didn't have anyone to look after my oldest daughter. And my brothers were still in care. They was in with Aunt Nicky still. And she spoke to me and she said that was talking one night and she said to me that I should never have been put away. She said she fought for me. She knew that I was telling the truth. And she asked them to put me back in her house with her. And they would never allow it. You know. And she was really sorry. Because she knew I was telling the truth.
Yeah, she said that, didn't she? She said that to you.
Yeah.
She didn't know. And Prue was devastated when she found out.
Yeah. Yeah.
She didn't know, did she?
No. No, it's just...
do you remember we used to... I don't know... did you used to have white socks? Because we used to have like grey socks with yellow...
And brown top, round rings round, And we had white.
That's right. And then, that's right, you did, yeah. And then we used to get changed. Did they change us once a week?
Once a week on a Saturday, you changed to play clothes.
But they used to make you change sometimes and go to church twice on a Sunday.
3 times I used to go.
I remember they used to make you go in the morning and go at night. I hated it.
Yeah. We used to have to go Sunday school
and
as well.
Church was so bloody cold. So bloody cold. So spooky, so eerie. It was.
You know, I mean, we was lucky we had the swimming baths there. we had the printing works, we had the cobblers, we had the pottery, you know, and the things like that, and we had the tavern club. But although we had all that, we had holidays for 2 weeks. You know, we went away for 2 weeks every year. It could never make up for us not being with our parents.
And what they did give you at Christmas or birthday wasn't very much anyway. It was just a token of your birthday.
Yeah, I always got what I wanted when I first went there.
I can't remember what I got. I think I got a football once, and that was it. A plastic.
No, they asked me what I wanted, and I wanted skates, and I got them. I remember Jacoby skates, and then when I was in Armand, I had a budgie, and I wanted a new cage, and I got a new cage.
Bloody hell.
You know, so they were
that was before. That was after the abuse.
Before.
The abuse came after.
Yeah.
Bloody hell. But your memory is absolutely, because you remember so many kids, like when we talk about Eugene Plange and we talk about, God, you could name them straight off, and the amount of names that you've got in your head, it's unbelievable. Elsie, Janice.
Elsa.
Huh?
Elsa,
yeah. And well, so many people that you know, it's unbelievable what names you remember.
Yeah, and I can remember the staff and what houses they were in, and you know, things like that. You know, I mean, it was a cleaner. She started a friendship club, it was called.
Yeah.
And there was only about 6 or 7 of us in there, Mrs. Morris, and we used to have the club in the old nursery, and then she was a churchgoer, and then every so often she'd bring these men down, and we'd have to sit on their laps. You know, so obviously I didn't know, you know, I don't know if they're getting off on it or what, you know, but things like that were covered up. You know, they never checked out anything.
I remember the Sunshine coaches that used to come into Beechholme, because I don't know why it sticks out like a sore thumb, and it was the smiley sun.
Yeah.
And it seemed to be painted in a way, it was just on the back wing type of thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and they were always outside.
I'll have to Google it and see if I can come up with that. And because you know, you think of something, but sometimes it gets the better of me there. If I'm thinking of something, I want to say, was I right? And I'll Google it to find out if I can find a picture of it.
Yeah. I don't know. I just hope we get justice.
Yeah, well, you know, they're always going to help us. Ken's going to help us, and Charles will help us. And at the end of the month, Dell's got a few things on at the moment. So, you know, let the guys do what they're doing. But
no, that's fair enough.
Dell's been absolutely brilliant, and I just thank him for what he's done for us anyway. So I can't say anything anyway.
Yeah.
And you're going to be. They're going to come to you soon. Soon. I don't know when, but it might have been in the next 4 weeks. It might be, I don't know, whenever Delroy decides. Yeah. I think it's finding the window. It's the worst part about it is that we had the same problem. Is trying to fit everything together. You know, trying to fit so you get all the people in the same place at the right time, and it all clicks together.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen to my testimony now. Louise ain't on board, so.
Well, I don't know.
But that was really cruel what she did to. Really cruel to what she did to Jeanette.
Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of your audio, we may be able to get around that with the audio, because we might be able to do audio. Ken's quite clever. We may be able to buy some software that transfers audio to text. So we might be able to get around that. I'm not ruling it out because Ken's quite clever like that. So it might be that we'll be able to sort something out with that. That may be really, because even if you can do that, that is possible. So I'll speak to Ken about that. That still might be You see that little things like this, it might delay stuff, but it's unnecessary. But it can, you know, we can still get as. It just means that we've just got to get another way around it. That's all. It's an inconvenience. Yeah, we could have probably done without, but things happen that are not ideal, and so we have to just get around it a different way.
Yeah. But you know, we're Sue, aren't we? Sue, singing from the same sheet as me, but you're ever so grateful for what the guys are doing.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, everybody's let us down. You know, we've tried all different ways.
It's that proverbial brick wall, isn't it? I mean, it's like Dell said about, you know, like when the police came to interview us, they wanted to know what we wanted, what we knew.
Yeah. And the trouble was, I knew too much and give them too much. If I'd known then, I would never have done it.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, I keep saying with Alan in this, they're just fishing. They're just fishing to find out what you remember, so they can rule out somebody who might have done something wrong. If you didn't remember it, then obviously can rule it out. But what they want to do is ruling those who are, if they're alive, that is, keep in mind if they're alive, rule it in it if somebody can come up against them, and then all we're going to do is, oh yeah, that could have been a scenario where they could have been prosecuted, but we're not going to do that. We're just gonna bury it and just hide it away like nothing's ever happened. And that's the worst thing about it, is the fact that they keep getting information, getting what's needed for an investigation, but doing sweet FA with it. That's just unacceptable. I keep saying that. That's what's unacceptable. They might as well have not bothered in the first place, rather than say they're going to do something about it. And actually, it's only there to the thing I hate about the scenario of the police, and I can't stand them, is this scenario of they seem, and I'm using this correctly, they seem to be doing something about it, but in actual reality, they're doing the sweet FA.
Yeah,
and that's what I hate.
Yeah.
I hate the dishonesty of it. I hate the fact that it's put Alan through what he's putting through emotionally, and that he's drained him emotionally. If you're not going to do anything, just don't do anything at all. But don't say you're going to do something, put somebody through something, and 10 months later, oh, we're going to close the investigation. What kind of nonsense is that?
Yeah, it's like if it weren't bad enough that we went through that child abuse in the first place, and that I had 7 abusers in Beechholme, and that my life was a wreck and a train crash for 25 years, and I was just, I don't know, a very lost guy. And then to wake up and my wife calmed me down in my 30s, and then the police come back in your 60s and make you relive it all. What do they want to do? Traumatise you for life?
exactly. I mean, because my abuse carried on after I was out of care, even as I say to this day, nothing upset me anymore. You know, it doesn't upset me anymore.
You are a strong woman, though, Sue.
Yeah, I know, but I can't.
I've always said it to you. I mean, you don't always accept it, but I think you might be stronger than me.
Possibly. Because I don't show my emotions.
When I was at Nottingham, and I cried, and the crowd shouted, thousands of them shouted, Alan, Alan. That made it worse. And that was such an incredible thing. You had to be there.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
because that actually made me cry, yeah. Yeah.
Even John put a little tear in his eye, didn't he?
Yeah.
And Dan, he was security. He turned around and said to me, I had to pull my sunshine, my shades up. You've muted, Sue, sorry.
Sorry. As I say, I don't get emotional over it. You know, it does hurt when my family start. You know, I do try and have a go back at them, but it's just pointless, like talking to a brick wall, you know.
It's very difficult, isn't it? It's like that old saying, you can choose your house and you can't choose your neighbours. You can choose your partner, but you can't choose your family. And between the two, you're going to have a problem somewhere.
Yeah. I just, I just get on with it, you know, and carry on. You know, they're against me for what I do. Apart from my grandkids and that, they're all, you know, with me, but they all think I'm stupid. And if I have an opinion on something, then I get put down for it, even now, you know, by my family. But to me, all that matters is the family I've got around me.
So you only have to look at the support that you've got through doing Beechholme Warriors and interlinking with the sister Quarrius Warriors with Sandy and Jane, and how far me and you have come.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it was a very, very cold morning that morning. We stood outside them bloody town halls taking that interim report, the Beechholme interim report, to all them council offices all over London. And then I had to come from, and you did as well, I had to come from Hammersmith. And actually I was with John, because I did an interview with John outside the Hammersmith Council. And nobody would come out and take our report. And they tried to throw us off the premises. And I said to them, it's freezing cold out there. I'm not going outside. I wanted to stand in the foyer. And they were trying to throw me outside. And I said, no, well, not until I've seen one of the, I won't give it to security.
Yeah.
I want to see, I asked to see an aide, like the CEO's aide or the mayor's aide or someone like that. And somebody did come down from upstairs and took it off me. And he like Victoria Atkins, he said that we'll look into it. But like Victoria Atkins, 2 years later, she did nothing at all. She, you know, when she said she was going to turn around and bring it up in a select committee meeting, and she was going to do put it before ICSA and stuff like that. And to be so sincere and to be a safeguarding minister, you know, responsible for the welfare of what we all talk about.
Yeah, all empty promises. That's all they ever give. You know, they'll help us. And
but Delroy's right when he turns around and says, and Spearthrower said exactly the same. He's like, you know, Surrey Police should be held accountable, because we went to Surrey Police all them years ago when they were abusing us. They've reopened the investigation. So all they've done is opened up that old wound and made it septic again. So there's got to be a bit of acceptability that the trauma hasn't gone away. They just made it worse.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I married a Beechholme boy.
Yeah, Brian.
And he never, ever, and I don't think we ever talked about it. You know, what went on in Beechholme, which was strange. But then, you know, when we were in Beechholme, we didn't know what people were in there for.
Where did you meet Brian?
Where? Up his sister's.
Was he in a hostel or something?
No, he had his own flat.
Did
he? Yeah.
So you're going to have to hold the fort for a minute. I'll just snip somewhere. Is that all right? You're right to talk to Del or someone?
Yeah. Well, anyone got anything to say to help me out?
Del, can you talk to Sue for a second?
He'll come on in a minute. I was
on.
Yeah, they're both back.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'll let you finish off what you were saying about where you met. He had his own flat. I heard that's what Brian had his own flat. Was that when you were in London?
Yeah, in Peckham.
Oh, no, Peckham. That's South East London, Jay. Yeah, I know Peckham.
Yeah, and we married after a week, unfortunately. And it lasted 5 years, you know. And I went my own way with my kids, you know, and then remarried to a good man. But unfortunately, he was alcoholic. And we divorced. But when I came down here, he followed me down. And we were more like friends, you know. He had a stroke. And when he came home, I looked after him until the day he died. You know, but...
yeah, when did you move from London to Bexhill then, Sue?
About 20 years ago. I was living in Canning Town at the time.
Oh no, Canning Town. That's on the Jubilee line. That's East London. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd got custody of my eldest granddaughter,
Yeah.
and I just didn't want her growing up in that area. And
Yes.
my brother had been down here since he was 11. He was at boarding school here,
Yeah.
and my youngest daughter, she lived down here from 16, and I thought I'll go there.
So you
And
swapped. You managed to get a house swap.
no. I was staying with friends in London, and we rented private here. And then 3 years later, I fought for custody of my grandsons, and I
Yeah.
won that. And eventually, they gave me rented accommodation, and then I got a council place.
Okay, so that's good. So you got your own place. That's good.
Yeah,
Glad
and
you
I've
got your
got
own place.
my grandsons are still with me.
Yeah.
They're 23 and 21 nearly now. One at university. And I've got my great grandchildren as well, and my family and my life.
Yeah.
And they were abused, so and that affects me more than what my abuse does. That my grandchildren suffered.
Yeah, we just spoke about that and it's your daughter's partner. We did
Yeah,
speak about that, yeah. And the best thing is you stepped in quickly when you saw the thing about you, yours, you because of what you've been through, you're more aware of something, so you pick up things a lot more quicker. You look for things a lot more quicker. You read stuff on a subconscious level because you're so used to looking at because you're so used to dealing with so much strive throughout your life that you can pick up on a different sense. Most people might overlook something, but you'd see something like that and think, hang on a minute, something's not quite right here because you've been through it yourself. So because you've been through this, you've got more of an idea to pick up something. No matter what the scenarios, you've got an idea to pick up something. Something that instinct kind of cuts in. And you were right to cut in when you did, because at the end of the day, it's meant that you've been able to look after your he stepped in quickly for the grandchildren straight away. You got involved straight away, which is good because that's the best thing you've done in terms of giving them the best protection you could for them. Is that you saw something quick and you stepped in quick, which is you prevented potential for things more further down the line. Do you know what I mean? Even though things did happen, which you couldn't do anything about, what you did when you could do something about it, you did do something about it, and that's why I get angry in this scenario when you got to deal with these people for what their abuse and nothing's been done about it. Do you know what I mean? If something should be done about it, and there should be accountability. Like you said, your grandchildren, you held yourself responsible. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, that's not going to happen again. That something has to be done here, and you stepped in and did something about it. So you have that scenario where you're looking at things, you're like, no. This cycle of violence has got to stop, and you got in there quickly.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think it was last year. Alan was there. I think we was doing a demo or something, and it was Alan, Jean, and me. We went to Romford, and we'd got something to eat, and I was actually sicking McDonald's. Jean went to get some cigarettes, and I said to Alan, "We're going to stand outside." I was just standing there, and I seen it. I don't know why, but this bloke caught my eye, and there was a little girl playing, just skipping around. Her mum was sitting on the bench outside McDonald's on her phone, and I just sensed something was wrong, and I was trying to get her attention, and all of a sudden this bloke started going towards the child, and I just stepped out, and he ran. So he was going to do something to her. He was going to have snatch her or what. And the mother, I was so annoyed. And I went up to her. I said, "Look, your daughter nearly got snatched just now." She said, "What? Where?" I said, "There." I said, "But I was trying to get your attention, but you was on your phone." I did report it, but whether anything got done, I don't know, because they had cameras in there. But I do look for things, and even when I'm out, I hear people saying, "Nan," and I look around if there's kids calling, and I mean, I've had two of my granddaughter snatched and my own daughter snatched when they were younger. Men. So, well, no, my granddaughter's snatched by a woman. So I am very aware of things that are going on around me, you know, and I wouldn't hesitate if I heard a child being hurt, I would report it, you know, and keep the eye on it. You know, but yeah, I am aware of things, more aware. I'm very protective. You know, I don't, when I go out for my great granddaughter, she has to be on the scooter with me. She doesn't get down. And I have her arm tightly held around my arm, and I've got my arm round her waist. You know, I mean, I suppose in a way that's a good thing, you know, for what happened, but, you know, it's just a pity we can't save more children. And that's what I want to do. Stop them suffering the way we all have.
Yeah, that scenario. And it's hard because you know that stuff's going on all the time, as I've talked to you about before. All the time, there's plenty of child abuse going on, and apparently we have all this child protection. We've got this in place, you've got that in place, you've got this in place and that in place. But like you said, so it still requires. You can have all the statutory instruments that you want. It still requires people to be vigilant and be aware.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because you know, anything can happen at any point, and so if you're not aware of something that's going on, then you know your chances are, you know, the opportunity for somebody to do something will happen. So you've always got to be, you know, self-aware to some degree about, you know, the places you're in, the scenarios that you get into, and you've just got to be aware of things, and make sure you're vigilant. And if you're doing that, then, you know, like you said, it's about prevention. Prevention's better than cure, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? If prevention don't happen in the first place, that's the best case scenario. And that means you've got to have, you know, a good network of people around you, and a good strong base. And if you've got those things around you, then, you know, and the children are aware, not just the adults, but the children are aware as well. You know, then it makes things a lot easier. You know, children can pick up on things. Children are interesting. They kind of know which adults are fine and which are not. You tend to see this with children. I've noticed with them, like if you're just a normal adult, and and you've got a certain presence about you, they'll be cautious, but they'll be cautious to an extent whereby if they want to ask something, if they're very confident, they'll still ask you something because you know you're not going to do something. But if you've got that intent about you, there's something not right. Children tend to pick up on it straight away, and then no, there's something not right about you. They know to stay away. There's also that side of it as well that I do see quite often. When I've been scenarios, when I've been places where I've seen people who I might know, but their children might not know me. But if you're kind of speaking to them a little bit, they'll still interact with you. Whereas if someone's just totally dodging, like they'll just, you know, they'll stay away. So there's that scenario where you train the children to be, you know, aware of certain things. You know what I mean? So that's just as important as well.
I mean, I had a friend, a long-term friend who Alan knows. She used to come here, and I look after my great-granddaughter. My great-granddaughter would never go near her, you know, because she was very aggressive in her tone and everything. And then Jean, bless her, she comes here. My great-granddaughter idolises her. She'd rather go with Jean than me, you know. You know, she's going on holiday with Jean. She ain't got, Nana's not coming, you know. But it's like, you know, with Jeanette and the satanic abuse, she was telling us the dates and everything. And I was telling my granddaughter about it. And she said, Nan, you've really scared me. I said, good. Because that's how parents need to be and realise what is actually going on around them. You know, they are snatching children for all things for the satanic ritual abuse. And you need to be aware of it. When you go out, don't go during these dates. Don't take her to the woods. Don't take her up the link road to look at the animals and everything. Just stay, you know, where there's plenty of people, you know, and I've got through to her. But I just wish other parents, we put it out there enough. But parents are still not listening to us. And it does annoy me. You know, I mean, when we was in Scotland, we did some demos and there was two ladies there. her son was 19 and they'd got separated and he disappeared. And then people found him in the woods. He'd had his eyes gouged out. He was something else to him. And people were taking pictures. And the police actually didn't do a crime scene, put a tent over, nothing. What they did to this boy was they put a rope round his waist and dragged him out. You know, and that woman, they've done nothing to find. They know the killer is. They've done nothing, you know. Just there's no justice anywhere for anyone, you know. And it's heartbreaking. And that woman, you know, and the other one, they're just suffering so much, you know.
When you think about the politicians and the crimes they commit against humanity, it's a crying shame, really, that nothing's ever done against these globalists right across the world that do all this, just lie in their own pockets. It's all about money, commerce. Yeah, it's disgraceful.
And it's all the hierarchy,
yeah,
that are doing it, you know. And like people say to us, you're never going to win. We will win. We keep fighting and we're getting bigger and bigger, you know, till in the end something's got to give. And hopefully we've saved quite a few children. You know, there's that Govan Hill up in Scotland. It's a road full of Asian shops. And at night, they're pimping the children out, you know. And people have been up there and seen it. And they've written to Nicola Sturgeon. She said, I know nothing about it, but does nothing about it either. You know, and I'm sure there's plenty of places down here all over the country that's doing the same thing.
Did you see that brilliant video someone's done with Sadiq Khan? And he's been interviewed. Yeah. It's almost like a select committee meeting. And he's been interviewed and he says, I don't have the figures to hand. He's so evasive to asking any of the questions.
Well, yeah.
And this is a man that's running bloody our capital city. Yeah, he doesn't say nothing when he, you know, look, I'm not going to go down the path of religion because, you know, when we talk about Black lives, Muslims, you know, to me, Jews, Sikhs, Christians, every type of colour and every type of religion, you know, we all bleed the same colour. We all bleed red.
All lives matter.
It's all lives matter.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, there was in that interview, the bloke that was talking, he said that about the demos that we had at Trafalgar. He was actually at, I don't know if it's one or two, and he see the police come in with their batons drawn and attack for no reason, which was
they weren't police.
No, but he said, you know, you just came in. He said, you know, and I think it was don't class it as racist, but why is it done to them and not Black Lives Matter and Antifa when they cause the problems? You don't do it. And then Sadiq said, oh, you'll have to ask the police. You know, he evades everything.
Yeah.
He really does.
Yeah,
you know.
It's a total disgrace.
Yeah.
Total disgrace. And I just can't stand the man. I've got no time for him at all. And you know, he puts himself out in all these Muslim communities and this, that, and the other. But then a simple question: why didn't you do something about the police violence was carried out at a peaceful rally in Trafalgar Square, and yet then Black Lives Matter did a demonstration?
Yeah, and all these stabbings over London, he's taking the police away, you know, and it's still going on, and he's doing nothing about it, you know, and none of the other politicians are sort of questioning why. They're just letting him get on with it.
Sadiq Khan, he lives in his own little bubble. Do you think he ever walks through a council estate? Do you think he stands at a bus stop at 10 o'clock at night, you know, or goes on a tube late at night? I don't think so. The taxpayer for him to get a cab from work to bloody his hierarchy house he lives in his little plastic bubble somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just everything, you know, there's so much injustice out there on every level, you know. Whistleblowers, they suffer.
Well, John had everything lost. He nearly lost everything, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, and there's so many haters out there, and they don't know.
If it's bad enough not you know, fighting what we fight, to have the people that go up against you, instead of being so negative, instead of questioning it, why can't they all just come together and do, you know, like one cause, make it all, you know, infighting and all that is, he said, she says, and before they know it, it's got blown out of all proportions, and, you know, or somebody, it's like them old the axe murderer. By the time it gets to the bottom of the road, it's a totally different story.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it is getting out of control completely. And I can see there being a civil war here before long.
Well,
Really
something's
can.
going to happen, but in actual fact, we don't seem to have done too much about it at the moment.
No.
And
No,
that's
I
what
mean,
annoys me, is the fact that, you know, we've had time to do things about it, and we've got all these demonstrations that are going on, and they don't take a blind bit of notice. They don't take a blind bit of notice because they hide behind the police and let the police go in the front line. And I'm like, Dale, I am a great lover of the Babylon, and I don't know. The world's just absolutely upside down. I mean, we look at what we have had to go through all our lives to try and get some recognition. And when we don't talk to politicians, you think they'd do something about it. I mean, that's what they're there for. But they're part of the problem.
Yeah. Because most of them are involved in it.
Of course they're involved in it.
Protesting the paedophiles, you're protesting them.
Yeah.
You know, the politicians, they're not going to be too helpful.
No.
I mean, look at the
Because you're going to ruin their club.
Yeah. Look at the sentences paedophiles are given. Nothing. You know, some are let off back into the community. You know.
You get longer sentences for hurty words on Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. You know, and we're classed.
James's favourite saying that.
Yeah, we you know, if you say anything out there, you know, you're classed as racist. And we're not racist. Not at all.
When we was at Nottingham, remember when we was at Nottingham, some bloke got knocked into a doorway by a copper because he turned around and he said, "Why don't you do something about the Muslims?" Right? And, you know, it was peaceful. And he just said that. And you know, so he knocked him into there, and then people just grabbed around him and started taking photographs and videoing it. And he said to me, "That should find a warning or something."
Yeah, but see, the police calls a divide. You know, when we was at Nottingham, they kettled us in, and they had Black Lives Matter and Antifa in front of us, throwing bottles and everything and hurling abuse. We was doing nothing. We was kettled in, and then the police drew the batons on us lot. And then the veterans just burst through the barrier.
Knocked them out of the way.
Yeah, because, you know, we were on a peaceful demo. We weren't causing no problems. Why? Why do they start on us?
You notice that as well when we was at Trafalgar Square and we decided to march down Whitehall after we finished at Trafalgar Square? They allowed us to march down Whitehall, and then they kettled us at the bottom of Whitehall just before we got to Parliament Square because Black Lives Matter were there. So we couldn't go backwards and we couldn't go forwards. So
Yeah.
this is what they've been doing that for years. I said to somebody, they've been doing that for donkey's years, this kettling motion. They used to do it in football matches. They used to make you go in about 20, and then you narrow it down to that, and then they thought, well, they just pulled you out. They just pulled you out.
Yeah. I mean, during that one at Trafalgar, Black Lives Matter were going through the crowd, and we see them going through. So I think they were calling people in, but they only had 100 there, whereas there was 54,000 of us. You know, and the police said, "No, you're not going through because we was going to Parliament, and they wouldn't let us through." We weren't causing no problems.
Yeah.
You know, and then obviously they nicked Piers Corbyn that day as well.
It needs to get to a point where those little barriers they put up and the few policy officers that are put out there, it's time we push through them.
Yeah, this is what we're saying. Is so, you know, is it a case of taking it to the next step? I'm not inciting hatred or violence of any sort of them, you know, any shape, way, or form. But the politicians aren't listening.
No,
it's the only course of action available to us.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
When diplomacy fails, that's why diplomacy was invented, to stop people going into battles.
You know, our problem is that the court system and everything that is run by the system.
Yeah, you're right.
It's bent, everything. You know, you take them to court, you indict them and take them to court. You know.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and even, you know, these Sam Baldwin, people like that, you know, speak out and they're gagged. You know, not allowed to say a word. You know,
It's terrible out there. I mean, it doesn't beg a belief, does it?
No.
They're leaving you no other option.
Yeah. Yeah. See, but I mean, as I say, they're getting bigger and bigger. The crowds are getting big. More and more people are coming forward.
Yeah,
but we
are.
still need more.
And to be truthful, Sue, ours would have been really, really big because we've got to let people know that the Sikh Alliance Society, is it the Sikh Alliance Society?
Yeah.
Awareness. Sikh Alliance Awareness. They were on board. All the child groups were on board. All the veterans and everybody else, and the bikers and everything. You know, they were all going to come together with us when we originally did. The one on the 16th of May was the first one we did, but was asked to cancel because of COVID.
Yeah.
And that's another thing when, you know, you talk to the Dell and stuff like that, you know, these police officers are just pumping you for information. They want you, they're all nice and lovey-dovey to you. Just finding out what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, when we was doing our one on the 16th of May, the police were helping us, actually. They were shutting off Whitehall for us, you know, and they weren't going to give us a load of police because we had our own security. Yeah.
There's a reason for that, because at the end of the day, we tried to do everything legally. We tried to do it. The insurance was going to cost us a stupid amount of money. Then they start to ask us to do a complete risk assessment and management assessment and all the rubbish that goes with it when they don't do it themselves for the majority of the parks and areas that they can, you know, that they are responsible for in the Westminster Borough.
Where's their risk assessment when they go in with the batons?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, it's all stupidness, and
we're just giving too much notice of like laying your plans out before the police so they can stop what you're doing.
Yeah,
putting up a few well-placed barriers.
We're talking to these liaison officers, and all the liaisons are doing, and going back to the high-ranking officers saying, "Well, this is what they're planning to do, and this is what they're doing."
Yeah, of course they are.
Just keep sweet talking them, and then find out as much as you can for us, and come back, and we'll set a meeting, a coffee morning for next week, 10 p.m. or how's that, or would you like a cup of cocoa?
Yeah, I mean, when we was in Scotland and we did the demos, about 3 weeks ago, wasn't it? Now, we did the demos in Glasgow, and
George's Square.
yeah, the police were there. Now, we weren't masked up. They didn't ask us to go in groups of 6, and they were talking to us. And they said to us then that it was the liaison officers, wasn't it? There was 2 of them there was talking to them, both called Colin.
Yeah,
And
the blue ivies.
yeah, and they said to us that they're going to go back and say there's no need for police presence. They'd been there 2 weeks on the trot. There was no need for police
Yeah,
presence.
it was. I think the second or third one Sandy had done in St George's, in George's Square in Glasgow, and they said it's been peaceful, and it's about child campaigners and so on and so forth, and there's not a problem with them. And they stood some of the coppers down because it was peaceful.
Yeah,
and they were totally respectful.
I think there was only about 6 police there.
Hmm.
You know, and that's how ours are. But why are they so different? You know, I just don't understand it. Just have to see what goes on, you know. And I mean, as we cancelled this one on the 24th, and, you know, just thinking about it, I wasn't prepared for anyone to get out at our demo. Not
No.
the way the police were going.
We had to look at that, and realistically, because of the chance that they were, because in some cities they did cancel some of the, because I heard King's Cross was closed. I don't know how true it was, but whether it was for a day or whatever the case might be. So hypothetically, if they wanted to, they closed the station down to stop people from getting to and from that area, or that's how they were trying to control us, because it's all about control.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Our freedom and movement.
Yeah. I mean, when we was at Trafalgar Square that day, we was all peaceful. Then the police started coming in around us to disperse. And we took no notice of them, and they just walked off. You know, we wasn't causing no problems. You know, I think that was when David Icke was there.
That's right, it was.
And the surgeon and that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, weren't causing nothing. You know, and the other ones, what did they go straight for? To get the equipment.
Yeah.
People couldn't talk out.
But David Icke, I remember David Icke saying, the coronavirus has got a tape measure, so it knows that you've got to be 6 feet apart. It's also got a calendar because it knows the second spike is going to be in October. I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. Because they all think we're stupid, you know, and we're not bound down. I mean, when I got on the train yesterday coming back from London, it came on about having masks unless you're exempt. Well, I'm exempt. And it said, if the police, transport police get on the train, you have to have proof that you're exempt. No, we don't. You know, we don't have to have proof.
No.
You know, but the transport police can come on, you know, and demand proof. You know, my medical records are nothing to do with anyone else.
No. They're supposed to be kept in your doctor's surgery and for your doctor. Your patient confidentiality is the word we're looking for.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I've got my...
It's a breach of the Equalities Act, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just learned today, well, just now actually, my wife's got a notification on her phone that one of the garden centres is trialing new technology where it can see when customers don't have a mask on, and it'll refuse to open the doors for you.
See, that's...
Yeah, but if business isn't bad enough, they're going to piss it up the wall by just... It's so ridiculous. I mean, you know, why can't they have some sort of... All right, if they're going to go to all these extremes, why can't they have some sort of scan, like a knife scanner or something like that? I know it's going to be a lot of money and expensive, or too expensive for some business, or some sort of thing that you go through a station or something like that, and as the people walk through it, it takes your temperature.
Mm. Yeah.
They got these. The ANPR came about from the RAA in London, the Ring of Steel, the City of London, and from the ANPR cameras come this facial recognition technology.
Yep.
Right. And now what they've got now is every time you look for a camera and you see that little square box, that will click like a ANPR camera now, or ping up, should we say, if you're wanted or anything like that, or if you've got a record or whatever the case might be.
Just like
Yeah, I mean, when I was looking around there yesterday, because we walked all by the Home Office, Parliament and everything, do you know there's not one 5G up there? There are none round there at all. That's strange.
there's none in Brussels either. What a surprise.
Yeah, you know, I don't think we've got any down here yet, you know, because I haven't seen any. So, and I mean, this total lockdown, it's in 3 tiers. You know, London was supposed to be on lockdown, but it weren't. It was all tourists out yesterday. You know, it's just a joke.
But we look at it now. So if we've had a 10-year or 12-year recession, and we've got all this crap now with this coronavirus, you're talking about putting this country back 10, 20, 30 years before it recovers from all this crap.
Exactly.
So you tell me the last time this country had any success with a political party, because it didn't have it under the Thatcher years, it didn't have it under the Blair years.
I don't know. It's just getting totally out of control.
Is there anything you want to say, Del?
He's around doing things.
He's doing things in the background.
I'm just letting you finish. I'm just being, you know, I'm just being patient. Yeah. I have to agree with you. It's I kind of been saying this. Spearfro's heard me say it. There's no point with going over it again and again. I've been saying this. Everything's got a time and a place, and we're at a definite point now whereby you've got they're playing their trump card. So we've got some rituals coming. I think it's next 2 weeks now with Trump and buying the dens. So you've got the Trump card in played in a buy den. So you've got a 2 den. So you've got him and Kamala Harris. So you've got that side of it, that scenario, which that affects everybody because the world's reserve currency is the dollar, which is fiat. Fix it again tomorrow, which is not. It's not real, but people are sleeping and don't know the truth between Moonai and money, what money actually is. So the scenario is that all this race baiting that's going on, that's come from they've got a cold and it seems to be blowing. It's blowing. Everyone says it's blowing east. I'll say it's blowing west because if you turn the compass upside down, that's how it really is. So I've been looking at some good stuff again recently. So south is north, north is south, east is west, and west is east. It's all turned around. The cabal have turned everything backwards. So you've got a scenario whereby the corporations that are trading are due to get an end of an age change up. They've had their little nonsense they did at the end of last month. Did Francis at the Peace Palace at The Hague, and you got some stuff they did in June. They're playing to a script, and we're due to play out the second half of Revelation times and half a time. So that's what's due to come. So the reason why they've got all the other distraction like Devok 92, and that's all to do with higher consciousness and divine feminine coming in. But the reason why I want everybody in Aldo Abdo and just total chaos, which is what this race baiting's about.
Yeah.
And religion's baiting and everything else baiting about. It's all divide and rule. That's what you see with all of it. It's all divide and rule. I've left it too long ago to see the whole scenario. It's just all nonsense. But they know this was coming and they knew they had to prepare for this. And in the background, I've been watching them and they are preparing for this. Is why I know with the 5G stuff and everything's going blockchain, it's all going Ether, everything's going air-based because Aquarius is an air sign. So the reason why everything's run by maritime at the moment under water law with the pirates at the sea and the popes in charge of the Holy See is because the Piscean is ruled by Jupiter. That's why the Pope sits on the throne of Peter. So as far as I'm concerned, the Piscean construct that they've got running, which runs on the maritime, which is running all this nonsense, and Trump and Biden and BJ, they're all running administrations, corporation souls. They're all controlled. Everything's controlled. That French teacher getting beheaded. It's all controlled. Everything you see in the scenario, it's all controlled. So there's nothing that they're not controlling. They're playing both sides to the middle. That's where divide and rule comes in. So expect more of the nonsense, because until everything works on a cosmological clock, they can't really do anything until the age of Aquarius proper kicks in, and that doesn't happen until December the 21st this year. That happens, and we switch from the Piscean construct, and then the water system starts to go out, and the air or the ether, the ether starts to come in. The air system starts to come in, and that's what will be coming into our entire this part of the cosmos. So that will be influencing things, which is why you're seeing them putting the 5G towers up, because everything's going to work on air, on ether. So they're giving us what I call a fake version of Aquarius. So that's why you've got stuff in the background. If you really watch what's going on, you can see that they're playing the game out correctly as I predicted. As I made that where people that years ago. I've been talking about this since 2013, 2015. Probably been something about 2012, to be honest with you. I've been aware of it really like 2011, 2010, 2011. But the cosmological stuff is quite significant with the alignments. I've done a couple of shows on it. One's on Jupiter's channel. It's still there. It's not been pulled down yet, thank goodness. And the other one that was on Facebook, that's got pulled down. But all these scenarios we've been talking about they've just been played out. So the race baiting nonsense is just a whole crock of fraud. I've done a shot even on Wake Up UK about that. That got destroyed anyway. So I won't worry about the race baiting stuff, because that's what they want. They want the race baiting stuff because it allows for divide and rule. That's why they're getting the government's allowing the BJ administration, they're allowing the migrants to come across the channel. That's just to stir up the locals. They've done that all the time. Divide and rule. They can't have a particular group more powerful than another group, because that group will challenge the government. That's why
they're powerful than themselves.
Yeah, right. That's the scenario that they've done. So the only way they can do is to play white guilt out through the working classes, which are the predominant people in this country. So the only scenario they've got, if they want to play out a holy war, which is this religious thing, you need to have more Muslims in. So if you look at the UN migration pact, you'll see that migrations are right. So as far as, and this country, this corporation, United Kingdom PLC, is signed up to it. So as they signed up to it, then that's why you've got all the migrants coming. I'm not surprised they're coming. Everyone's kicking and screaming about, well, the UN migration pact said migrations are right. Well, if you look at what's going on, it is right. They're letting them in left, right, hook, right, and center. I'm not surprised. But people don't do no due diligence. Why is anybody not challenging the BG administration over that? They want to talk about BLM, which is funded by George Soros, who's another globalist. So these scenarios that you keep coming up with all this nonsense, it's all part of the game. It's just allowing people to divide and rule themselves, and people not seeing a big elephant in the room. So that chaos will continue. Order out of chaos. That's going to continue on realistically up to December 21st, and then you'll have a scenario whereby they're going to start. They can't kick off this the second half of Revelation, because everything works on a cosmological point. So they won't kick it off on December 21st. What I've said is you've got times, and half a time that's mentioned, because they're playing the script out of Revelation, which just means revealing. They're playing to the script because it's cosmological in its origin. I talked about this in great detail. And they've got to a scenario whereby if it's times, and half a time, and they want to get, and I'm looking at it numerologically, then they want to get everything in place, or this so-called new world, one world this, one world that, one world I know, which is Aquarian again. The motto of Aquarius is I know. Scenario in by around about 2025, which means 9 in mathematics, which means end. So numerologically, I do stuff like that rather than what the Kabbalah cult say. I do stuff on a neurological level because you can tell them what they're doing. Because then if it's the 7 years of revelation, then that gives them a time slot to work from either March, which is the start of the real new year. That's why your financial year ends at that point, because the East Gate, the Pope makes sure that everybody gets paid at the East Gate, because that's how they're running stuff on a cosmological level. So that's why the commerce ends in the 31st of March, because it's Ishtar, Easter, at the East Gate. So they're making sure that they get their stuff ritually on point and on time. So you won't get anything on December the 21st. You'll either get some scenario points coming up on March the 21st, during the 21st onwards towards Ishtar, or you get something in June. I doubt they'll do something on the fall equinox or on the winter solstice next year. You either get March, it'll be either March, June next year, or it'll be March, June 2021, and that'll allow the 3.5 years of revelation to pay out by 2025. So that's the scenarios that I've looked at. It's either March, June this year coming, 2021, or March, June 2022. At those points, because Trump's already moved the U.S. corporation embassy to Jerusalem, so that's already there, and they're building a third temple already. So the Pope's got the peace treaty signed. I've got most of them. I've looked at them about 3 or 4 months ago. I've still got them. So you're looking at a time scenario based on numerics and 7 years of revelation. You're looking at 2021 or 2022 for them to start playing out the complete nonsense. So during this window, you'll see all that. That's why they can't do anything fundamentally. This is how you know that the whole thing's being controlled. Because if they were going to bring in a new world order, they've got the power to do it now. So why are they not doing it now? They can't do it because it's Piscean. They can't do it. They can't bring in the Aquarian construct in when Piscean is not finished. This is what I mean. Everything works on a cosmological clock, you see. So that's how I know. That's why the coronavirus is in Divock 91 version 2. It's in a holding pattern. We've got a virus that knows when it's 10 o'clock. We've got a virus that doesn't attack the mentally ill. We've got a virus that don't attack children under 11. We've got a virus that that seems to want to not go in schools for whatever reason. It's not going in schools for whatever strange reason. Everyone seems to be fine in schools. We've got a virus that has decided that it's that clever that it can do and perform magic tricks, in a sense of the scenario is today I'm going to kill 66 people. Tomorrow I'm not going to kill any. Virus is a virus and it's prevalent. It's spread all over the place. If it's airborne, it's all over the place. You're breathing in air. It's an airborne virus. You're already dead, because if it's an airborne virus, then everybody already has it, because everybody's taking in air. You're all taking in air. If the virus passes through the air, it's spreading through the air anyway. So therefore, you can't have a scenario where only some people would get it, because if it's an airborne virus, then everybody's and they're saying it's a spreadable virus. Well, if it's transmitting disease all over the place, it's spreading at this super ability that apparently that it's got, then everybody's taking in air all over the place, and everybody should get it. And I've definitely not had it. So, and all viruses, your body can, Morpheus has explained this already. All viruses can be destroyed if you provide your body with an alkaline environment. So that's why I've never had no virus. I've not had no virus, because it's, there's certain things you can do to make sure you don't get one. Your body's got its natural reaction when anything that enters it doesn't want you sneeze. So you sneeze, let yourself sneeze. People say, "Oh, don't sneeze, it's rude." No, it's not rude. It's your body's natural reaction to flush out something that shouldn't be there. So sneeze and get rid of what your body does stuff naturally to protect itself, to do what it needs to do. I listen to that and I make sure I'm able to do what it needs to do. So it gets rid of whatever is in the environment it doesn't need. So for me, I'm not worried at all about this virus. It's a complete psyop. The issue is, people are dying of coughs, colds, flu every year in this country. That's happened for decades and decades and decades. Mm-hmm. This is no more different to any other virus. It's just that they're hyping it all up, and I think the biggest thing is a psychological trauma that they're putting everybody in. I mean, that's the worst case scenario of it. But what it's aligning to do, I call Divock 91 version 2. It's the new Osama bin Laden. That's what it is. It's the new terrorist. It's the new big boogeyman. In 2001, it was terrorist, Islamic terrorist. Now it's virus. They do it all the time in this country. They do it all the time. They hype up stuff. Yeah, it's either SARS. There's always some kind of fear trauma There's always some kind of trauma going on. You never have the humanity is never settled. There's always some kind of trauma going on. Somebody's been beheaded or somebody's dying of a virus. There's always death and destruction and despair all the time. They promote this complete psyop. Humanity is completely controlled, just like Sophie Strait explains in The Matrix. So for me, they have to have this constant flux of order abdocare, which is the Hailing dialectic problem reaction solution. They have to have that because things work on a cosmological level, and they know this. They can't play out revelation based on them wanting to do something. It doesn't work like that for their magic or magize the magic to work. They've got to play things out in a certain way. And so what you've got at the moment, you've got everything in this holding pattern, because we're still in Piscean. The Piscean is about to leave on December 21st. We hit Aquarian, and then they've got to merge the Piscean construct that everybody sat underneath you under the Sister KV Act. They've got to merge that with their new Aquarian construct with the 5G, and then remove the Piscean one and kill that off. Well, that's what the Federal Reserve and the dollar are all under Piscean constructs. All the fiat currencies in this country are under Piscean construct. See, they all run through SWIFT. So, and everybody doesn't want to leave the scenario. So what they're going to do, they're going to have to crash all the economies, which is why everyone's going to start losing jobs, and furloughs going to end and all this nonsense, because just over broke, a job just over broke, is they're only running your trusteeship of an estate. But in order to bring a new system in place, people are so obsessed with this old one that they can't think of a scenario where this old system doesn't exist. The cabal cult have got the new one in place, getting ready with under the SDRs, under the financial quantum system using the 5G. They've got the new one ready to go, but everybody won't leave the old one. So what they have to do, create corona, create beheadings, create chaos, more psyops, and create religious psyop and all the rest of it. So there'll be in this case scenario where everybody's just begging the Vatican, the cabal cult, for a new thing to come in place, which is the Hegelian dialectic problem reaction solution. So they're gonna have to play that. They're gonna have to play that out slowly in the second half of Revelation. So that's what they're going to be doing. So that's why nothing's crashing right now. I already knew that. I knew they could crash. They can't crash it now because they can't bring in a new construct yet, because the one that they want to bring in runs on the 555 frequency, which runs on Aquarian, which they can't use that yet because we're still in the Piscean construct. So when you know all this stuff, you never get worried about anything. I'm not worried about anything at all because I know the whole thing is controlled. So the scenario will be they're going to have to get everybody into a position whereby everybody's begging for this new SDR financial quantum 5G system they've got in the background. So they're going to have to merge the Piscean one with this new one they've got, and then kill off the Piscean one. And that's what the second half of Revelation will begin to do. So the scenario of people dying all the time, people losing their jobs, everything being the despair, that will put everybody into such a depressed state that they'll beg for a solution. And that's what the Vatican will offer, the cabal cult will offer, when everybody's ready to take that solution. And that's what they're going to play out in the second half of Revelation. So you're going to see that. I just don't know. I can tell you they're going to do it. I just can't tell you when they're going to do it, because they haven't started it yet. And they can't start it yet because of the cosmological way that the universe works. So they can't start an Aquarian construct in a Piscean. It won't work. So that's why they've got these scenarios where they're just getting everybody to divide and rule all the time, and nothing ever seems to be going anywhere because it can't. They're waiting for certain things for them to get activated that they're doing in the background. I can see that. So until those certain things come into play, and then those scenarios are opened up, at that point, that's when they'll start doing these rituals, whatever else they want to do, to then start this next half of this stuff that's coming in.
So I'm going to go because Kathy wants me to do something, so I'm going to go. But you can see where
I've got to go as well. Yeah.
Delroy's coming from with the maritime laws and so on and so forth, where we raided the whole world and we was a colonial country where we ruled and divided and conquered everything, and where he aligns everything up and stuff like that. It's quite in depth, but if you understand it, it comes a bit clearer.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go now. See you later.
Well, I'm going to go as well because I've got to go and get a shower. So
thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Delroy.
Yeah, no thanks, problem. Alan.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having. Thanks for coming on, guys. You're welcome anytime.
Yeah.
All right. I'll speak to you all again soon.
Bye, Sue.
Right.
Bye.
Thanks, Sue. Goodbye.
Bye.